people accidentally create doubt in you. Accidentally, they didn't even mean to. They didn't even mean to shoot your dreams down in conversation last night. They didn't even mean to. Yeah, I had a friend that tried that, and now he's digging ditches. Yeah, he tried the podcast route, and it didn't really work out for him. And I think he lasted about how long? You've been doing it for what, 2 years? Yeah, that's about how long he lasted. And you're going to hear all that. They don't even mean to do it. And the same's true with recovery. You're going to hear stories. Yeah, I went 8 years, and then next thing you know, I relapsed. And they don't even mean to create the doubt that they just created in you. They didn't mean to do that. That wasn't their objective, but it happened. Don't let that shit fester. This episode of The Recovery Couch is brought to you by JB Davis at South Dayton Toyota. For integrity, service, and unbeatable deals, call JB and his team at 513-267-5225 and tell them The Recovery Couch sent you. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of The Recovery Couch. I'm your host, Brandon Couch. And usually I'm sitting across from a guest, preparing for an interview. But today it's going to be me sharing my heart and talking about how it can sometimes be difficult pursuing your calling, pursuing recovery, when you don't know what's behind the very next door, when you don't see exactly what's at the finish line. I remember when I started this platform, I was being encouraged to start a podcast. People were telling me I had good communication skills. Your story deserves to be told. And I wrestled with names for a long time. What do I name a podcast? There's so many podcasts out here. And most of the names are taken. I had my good friend Joseph tell me one time, he's like, man, think about something with your name, and put that into a bunch of different AI bots, and finally came up with The Recovery Couch. Then I started pursuing sponsorship. When I pursued sponsors, I didn't want to ask them to write a check to Brandon Couch, so I input into some AI bots. What are some good names for a business for sponsorship checks? Based on everything I'd already input into the AI bot, it said True Story Media. There was a bunch of other options. I picked True Story Media. I continued to do the podcast weekly. I've continued through some very difficult seasons, guys. I'm not going to lie to you, where money was tight, where my vision wasn't clear. I continued to produce this podcast. And just recently, I had an epiphany, we'll call it, for the sake of this conversation. Holy cow, the media company is darn near exactly what I want to do. And The Recovery Couch is a show that is produced by the media company. Now we're going to expand into more shows and do more content. Some of it's recovery related, some of it is not. And we're going to grow. We're going to grow a company on top of a foundation that is strictly giving back to, and that's almost all recovery based, the foundation. And it's crazy to me to look back on how this started. So I share this story. It started with a podcast concept. To tell my story, you have good communication skills. You got a good story, Brandon. We need to tell it. How can we help you start this podcast? I had no idea at this point in time, and this is what I want to get you to understand. I had zero clue that this was going to turn into a media company. And it was one of God's pleasant surprises along my path, along my journey, because I enjoy this. I've outgrown the ability to be able to produce all the content on top of handle all the business operations, wear every hat of a company, administrator, sales rep, owner, logistician, every hat. I've outgrown that. That's a beautiful problem to have. But here I am with a very similar, if not the same problem of not knowing what is behind the next door. Are these shows going to work out? Are they going to be entertaining enough to continue with the ascension of the company? Are there going to be some hiccups? Are there going to be some roadblocks? Are there going to be some failures? Are those failures going to be good lessons? What am I going to learn from if a show does fail? And the good news is, I think that today I'll embrace those lessons a lot more than I did in March of 2025 when we stood this company up, at a point in time when I wasn't even a year completely sober from all drugs and alcohol. Today, I still have fear. I don't want to lie. We hired on a sales rep. I'll do a public service announcement next week when it's official. And there's fear that, are we going to generate enough income? Am I able to set her up for success selling products that we sell? Think about what have I potentially missed, and maybe what I needed to know when hiring a sales rep, when generating a payroll. But then I look back on everything that God has done from the inception of the Recovery Couch, which was really the inception of True Story Media, to writing one book, to generating sponsorship, to having a second book in edit, now to hiring a sales rep, and the growth that's happened in 17, 18 months. And it helps me fear the next door and what's behind it a little less. It doesn't take away all the fear. I'd love to be able to tell you that when I read the Bible and it says, do not be afraid, that I take heed immediately. But growth is uncomfortable. One of the lessons that has been the most difficult for me to embrace, growth is uncomfortable. And all this applies directly to our recovery. Nothing's promised. When we go into our first AA meeting, we have a bunch of people telling us how they got sober, and we hear their sobriety dates, and we want to get to a certain point, and we don't know if we really want to get to that year or 2 years or multiples of years for us, or if we want to do it so our family members and our loved ones or our boss or whoever is breathing down our neck would just kind of chill. But we know we want to get there. And there's a little fear of, what am I going to encounter along the way? What if I get to one of these roadblocks and my money gets wiped out? Will I resort to old coping mechanisms? Drugs, alcohol, sex? If somebody fires me, I lose my job. What if my significant other, who's been fighting for me in my corner, decides they finally had enough? Real life shit. Am I equipped to handle these things? I don't know. And these are the same types of fear that I deal with now in business. And I still deal with them in recovery. But the good news is I keep stacking days. Some days are tough. Some days I'm around somebody where they smell like weed and my mind thinks, be nice. There's some days where I'm in environments where people are drinking alcohol responsibly, like I couldn't. And I think about it. Be nice to just chill for a couple hours. I deal with the same things with business. Hiring somebody is expanding operations to the point that we need to expand to is uncomfortable. And there's days where I'm like, sure would be nice to just be able to put this off. Sure would be nice to just be able to have the luxury of skipping today's podcast because today's a monologue and I don't have to if I don't want to. But the picture I'm trying to paint here is that there's no days off, not in recovery, not in your real life, not in your relationship, not as a parent. My buddy put it to me like this the other day. He said, I'm just putting drops in the bucket. And it was a good illustration because I want the faucet to fill the bucket all the way up before I go water the plants, but it only goes in one drop at a time. And for that metaphor in our recovery, and in our life, we're not going to build the entirety of our trust that we have dissipated with our loved ones back by going to 1 meeting, 2 meetings, a month's worth, 90 days. And that's very unfortunate because in my case, I know I was putting my best foot forward. Hey, I need more than I need people not trusting me. I wouldn't mind if you guys just kind of changed it to a little bit of a cheering section. Don't you think that would be a little more encouraging? While completely forgetting they've been through this before. And I went back to lying, robbing, cheating, stealing, doping, smoking, snorting, drinking, shooting, popping, dropping. Their hearts are weary. I had to let all that go. And remind myself, I'm not doing this for them. Whether you cheer for me or not in my recovery, or whether you cheer for me or not with True Story Media, bro, I'm doing this for me. And I'm doing it because it's what God has called me to in both recovery and business. There's a lot of doubters. I hear a lot of doubt. I've been hearing a lot of doubt, especially when it comes to the business side of things. Well, it's going to take X amount of time. And, it's really tough to, there's a lot of podcasts out there. And I've been hearing all that, bro. Those are the same messages in a different situation that I got in early stages of recovery. Yeah, we heard that before, Brandon. Yeah, there's a lot of people out that don't make it. Yeah, but last time you went back to jail and you relapsed. And I heard all that. And there is a point in this where you got to go a little off script and be like, I'm going to let all that shit go. Because whether they like it or not, I ain't quitting. Whether they're rooting or not, I ain't stopping. I'm not doing this for an applause anymore. I'm not doing this for approval. I like my life today. I love my life today. And for the people that I had a bridge with that I burnt to the ground, I want you back. But if you ain't coming back, I ain't stopping because of that. That ain't going to stop me. It ain't going to stop me from recovering. It ain't going to stop me from building a life that I deserve. Because if I'm out here telling people that they deserve, regardless of their past mistakes, if they have slept around, used drugs, went to jail, been to prison, that they still deserve a better life. If I'm out here giving that message, then I better live that shit out, bro. Are you with me? One of my biggest fears is I want to get to a point of success where my story becomes unrelatable to my target audience, to the people that I love. I'm scared of that. He don't get it. He's making good money. He's got a business. He don't get it. Bro, I'm afraid of that. Because I do get it. It hurts. It's lonely. People ain't always cheering for you. So I relate to our brothers and sisters in those recovery treatment centers and halfway houses and jails and prisons, and why we get comfortable when we go back. We feel like they're the only ones that relate. Then we come out, get some time under our belt, some clean time, have a lapse, and everybody that we love is back to stiff arm. And we go back to the people that understand the most. Man, I fucked up. Yeah, I know, bro. Me too. Now I feel at home. That's a vicious cycle. Why do you think people become institutionalized? It's vicious. It becomes comfortable. I don't need that comfort anymore. I love my family. I got people still stiff arming me to this day. And I ain't letting that shit set me back no more, bro. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this because I've been called to do this. God has called me out of addiction and called me into sobriety. That's a big mission. That's my mission. And that's your mission. We're on the same mission. We live in a country, and this is beautiful. Praise our forefathers. Praise God bless America for giving us opportunity. My felonies did not stop me from becoming a business owner. They can stop me from rental applications and job opportunities all they want. But you ain't going to kill the heart of this man. I'm going to tell you that right now. And I hope to God that message reaches you. Never let them take your essence. Never let them take your aura, bro. Ever. God did not give us a spirit of fear. There's going to be judgment. It's going to be tough. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to choose growth instead of comfort, period. You're going to hear whispers. You're going to hear doubters. You're going to hear naysayers, all while you're hoping to eventually form a cheering section that you might never get. It ain't going to be easy, but it is going to be important. Place one foot in front of the other, even though you do not know where the destination leads you to. You do not know the summit of your journey. You don't know it, the peak. We've been in the valley. We know the valley. Just heard it yesterday. Rock bottom is when you choose to quit digging. That's rock bottom. Best definition I've heard of rock bottom. That's when you choose to stop digging. And then you start reaching for the peak in the valley, the summit. You don't know what the summit is yet. I don't either. I've been given visions. I have an idea. Like I mentioned earlier, that's the part that scares me, because I don't want the people who I care about and I want to receive this message the most to think that I've gone beyond my ability to comprehend rock bottom, because I'll never forget that shit. But it's imperative. It's crucial. It's a must, necessary to get the fuck up, put one foot in front of the other, especially on the days you don't know where the finish line is. Don't let anybody tell you what you can or can't be, what you can or can't do. Get to praying, listen to God, follow your heart, do what He puts on your heart, and never, ever waver, ever, for nothing, for nobody. There's going to be people in your corner spiritually that they're not going to understand your vision. And that's going to be difficult because you admire them. You look up to them as a spiritual mentor. They're not going to understand your vision. There's going to be people in your AA circle. There's going to be sponsors. There's going to be people who don't understand. I'm on a mission to the summit and nothing's stopping me. I'm going to embrace the mundane. I'm going to embrace the early wake-ups. I'm going to embrace the difficult days. I'm going to embrace every no, every perceived failure, every laugh and smirk and snicker that comes my way. I'm going to embrace that. I'm going to let it fuel my strength because I'm not going to settle for being weak anymore. I'm strong. Letting all this self-doubt creep in while I isolate, man, that's old news, bro. I'm strong. God did not give us a spirit of fear. He gave us a spirit of strength and power and love and sound mind. That's what we were given. Anything else is from the enemy, bro. And let me get my hands on that dude because he ain't shit. Dude ain't shit. I'll say it. Satan ain't shit, bro. He does not like you. He wants the worst for you. And he's going to start right here. Don't believe it. Not for nothing. Don't believe it. Sometimes you're going to have to look in the mirror and remind yourself, I'm a bad dude. If I live out of the Holy Spirit, nothing can stop me. And it's going to try to. Some people accidentally create doubt in you. Accidentally, they didn't even mean to. They didn't even mean to shoot your dreams down in conversation last night. They didn't even mean to. Yeah, I had a friend that tried that, and now he's digging ditches. Yeah, he tried the podcast route, and it didn't really work out for him. And I think he lasted about how long? You've been doing it for what, 2 years? Yeah, that's about how long he lasted. And you're going to hear all that. They don't even mean to do it. And the same's true with recovery. You're going to hear stories. Yeah, I went 8 years, and then next thing you know, I relapsed. And they don't even mean to create the doubt that they just created in you. They didn't mean to do that. That wasn't their objective. But it happened. Don't let that shit fester. Man, that's a tough story. Sorry that happened. But I'm not going to automatically apply that to my life. You got to be kidding me. No, we're manifesting positivity over here, not negativity. And I know you didn't mean that story to be negative, but that sure as shit ain't getting into my brain and manifesting because I know where I'm going. Now, I don't think that I hope that maybe one day, bro, I know. I want to thank you for joining me today in this passionate episode on basically navigating our way through recovery, through life, through business, when we don't know exactly what the finish line is. We don't know exactly where the journey is going to take us. And learning how to embrace the journey instead of looking forward to what is at the finish line. I'm your host, Brandon Couch. Don't forget to check out my book, Step 4. A Journey Through Addiction. Go check out the website, brandoncouch.com. I'll give you more info on what we're doing with the Recovery Foundation. And until next time, remember, you always have a seat right here on the Recovery Couch. This episode of the Recovery Couch is brought to you by Greg Swartz at Remax Victory and Affiliates. Greg brings heart, hustle, and honesty to every deal. Call Greg at 937-477-8975 today and tell him the Recovery Couch sent you.